Just want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. It's my honor and distinct pleasure to introduce the candidates for members of Candlewood Lake Association Board of Trustees. Our first candidate tonight will be Charlie Brown, and I will be asking some questions, and hopefully we'll have a good dialogue. And if you have any questions, just please don't hesitate to shout out and let us know what's on your mind. Thank you again, Charlie, for being here. Our first question for this evening is that what are some of your favorite things about Candlewood, and how do you think you can impact the Board of Trustees?
Well, my favorite thing about Candlewood is my house. And because that's my favorite thing, it's important to me to be on the board because I want to make sure that property values remain high. My second favorite thing about Candlewood Lake are the people, who I found not just to be friendly, but really welcoming. And I think that the board pretty much sets the tone for all of Candlewood Lake, and I think being on the board would be a great way to help other people feel that they're welcomed here in our community as well. The lake is an obvious thing to be a favorite thing, whether you're boating or floating or just looking at it, it's wonderful. And the board again works with the Department of Natural Resources and its own lake and siltation committees to make sure that the water quality remains high so that it's safe for people and fish, and making sure that standards remain high like that is another reason to serve on the board. And the last, well, not the last thing, but the last big thing that I really appreciate about Candlewood Lake is the opportunity for involvement. There's so many ways to get involved, whether it's participating in the water aerobics classes that are free a couple times a week, and they do art classes here, which you do have to pay for supplies, but there are just so many ways to just get to meet and greet people, and this last year's kind of been yucky because of COVID. But I think that by being on the board, I can help ensure that there are a lot of activities out there on a regular basis that we can look forward to participating in to get more people knowing each other within our community.
Thank you, Charlie. What do you think your view of the Board of Trustees and the governance of Candlewood, and how can you go about fulfilling the obligations as a Board of Trustee member?
Well, having served on the board this last year, I think it's kind of unfair that they don't have a better description of what's involved with being on the board. And by that I mean time commitment, because it really does take between 10 and 30 hours a month to be on the board and do a decent job. And since I'm retired, I do have that time, and I am willing to donate it to the community that way. And I think that I really believe that the primary purpose of the board is to maintain property values. And a key to that is setting reasonable rules and regulations and seeing that they're equitably enforced across the board for everybody. And as you drive around Candlewood, you can see that there are some areas that we've perhaps slipped a little bit in that, in maintaining everything just exactly so. And I think that that's one area that we could improve. But the big thing, maintaining property values.
Thank you. From your experience and involvement on the various committees, what is one of your goals as being a member of a trustees for the board? What are some of your goals that you would have for being a member?
A goal. Well, to expand the sense of community here is a huge personal goal. I'd like to have an overwhelming positive attitude here, and I think that the board does set the tone for the community, whether it's by personal example or by the way rules and regs are implemented, or the people that they hire and the attitudes that they encourage be demonstrated and reflected here throughout the execution of jobs here at the lake. And I guess that would be my primary goal, is to try to come out of this COVID thing where I think we've all been kind of recluses, and I think a lot of people have been kind of grumpy, and I think that hopefully my goal would be, that hopefully we can improve and get a more positive attitude amongst the membership and amongst all of the interactions between employees and the membership.
What strengths and weaknesses do you see in our current Board of Trustee members? You don't have to mention any names. And how can you help improve some of these strengths and weaknesses?
Well, I think that the biggest strength is that everybody on the board really does have Candlewood's best interest at heart. And I think that one of our weaknesses is that we haven't done a very good job of letting the community know all the great things that the board has been working on. And I think that is a matter of improved communication. And I love to talk, I love to write, I'd love to be a bigger part of getting communication out there to let the people know not only what our current priorities are, but also on a month-to-month basis, how we are moving towards meeting the goals of these priorities.
The final question I have, Charlie, is how would you handle contrasting views of the various members of the Board of Trustees when it comes to the governance of our community?
Well, listening is the number one item, I would say, and then educating and communicating to them, because most disagreements come from having different expectations. And I think that when you just look at, part of our vision is to be the premier lake community in central Ohio. And I think that has a different meaning for every person here. And what we need to do is do a better job of educating our members as to the reality of Candlewood Lake, because you come in with you need to understand what this community is like. We are a small community, and we're actually a multi-million-dollar corporation. And that brings its own rewards and consequences. But when you, like if you come in here, like here's some of the things that I think people have differing opinions on. The reality of Candlewood Lake is that it's a good real estate investment. It is not an income-producing investment. So I think it's important for members and people looking to buy into our community to realize that this is not a community for Airbnb income potential. That isn't Candlewood Lake. We don't have the lake capacity, and our bylaws strictly prohibit it. But we haven't done a very good job. I mean, everybody's supposed to have a copy of the bylaws, but I bet you a lot of people haven't read them, and there you have it. Another thing is that we are a member-owned residential community. We're not a timeshare. So you can't just come in here and use everything and leave it for the maintenance people to come in and the housekeepers to come in and clean up after you. If you use the lodge, you have to clean up after yourself because there is nobody else. I mean, we own this place, you own this place if you're a resident here, and you need to take care of it yourself. And I think this is a place where a lot of people, that just hasn't really clicked in for them. And additionally, and along those same lines, is that we have employees here to look after the common areas. They're not concierge service providers. And I think that because many people, it's an expensive place to buy in, and I think a lot of people think of this as a vacation destination. And when you do that, you might think that you're going to be pampered. But the only way you're going to be pampered is if you plan ahead and make good plans to have everything go smoothly at your property, because the people here, they're not being paid to take care of you that way. So anyway, I think that as long as we do a better job of communicating what we have to offer here at Candlewood Lake and people live up to their responsibilities, that I think it'll eliminate any discord that we have here.
Thank you very much, Charlie. And just in closing, is there any additional things that you would like to have the members know about you or the association?
Well, I love to bake, so if you're doing any dessert, if you need any people to bring desserts to a bake sale or something, I'm your person. I really miss our progressive dinner here. I always did handle the desserts. But this is a great place, truly, and I would be honored to continue serving on the board, representing you.
Thank you.
Yeah, everybody.